All right, go, Ethan. You're up.
Just trying to get on his nerves.
Welcome everybody to Christian Anarchy Today. As always, I'm Ethan Foster here with the two people that work against me in everything and anything regarding Christianity.
That's right.
No way.
Right. That's my job title.
I agree with you on so much.
Yeah. The topic for today is, why do I not hear from God? Thoughts?
Thoughts are, how do you hear from God, first of all? What are the ways that you hear from? Do you hear audibly? That can be a little frightening.
Yeah.
Do you hear from him through written messages? Mm-hmm. How do we hear from God? Let's talk about that first.
I think it depends on what you ask for or what the specific prayer is.
Oh.
Because if I ask God to give me a certain opportunity in ministry or something, and then the opportunity comes up, well, that could be God.
So him showing his answer is what you're saying.
Showing.
That's how we hear. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That's a valid way.
So
for sure.
the way that question's written, why do I not hear from God? We can see that sometimes he shows it, depending on, what if you say, God, I need you to tell me how to do this?
Well, he's not going to do it every single time you ask for that. And
when he does, how does he do it? What's the mode of communication?
In that instance, what is it? Teach me how to do this?
Yeah, tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do.
I want to buy a Mustang or I want to buy a Chevrolet.
Well, you see a sign that you think is relevant, or you.
You mean you're driving down the road and you see a sign that says Chevy? And
Chevy, yeah. You're like, oh, well, there you go.
That's how he hears from God. Keep going.
That's right.
All right.
I don't know.
I respect it.
Well, what else are you waiting for his voice to
just
say?
Seems so arbitrary.
Chevy. I don't think so.
I think specifically what I pray for is God.
Go ahead.
God reveal truth to me or something, and through my life, He reveals different things that I never thought of, like the eschatology thing. I thought, whoa, this is crazy, but then God led me to read the scriptures and see what's actually saying, and then end up agreeing with you guys on it.
So you pursued truth through the scripture. Yeah. Will the scripture tell you which to buy, a Ford or a Chevy?
Tell you a Chevy or Ford, yeah.
Well, no. I'm just saying in certain applications, and I'm just saying this from a personal experience. In terms of that, I think God reveals things to you, but asking for a Chevy or a Ford,
this one is a specific one where you kind of need to see signs like that, because that's about all you're going to get.
So you're voting for signs
in that specific instance, because what else is there? I mean,
there's doing some research and finding out the engine size and the Ralph Nader's ratings on the cars.
Right. Well, that's researching.
So that's a way.
And
I would prefer researching on whether to buy a Chevy or a Ford than a sign.
Well, I'm not saying only a sign like that. That's like a Bruce Almighty thing where he's like, give me a sign, and he sees a bunch of signs. But no, I mean, like, okay, let's say you go into, you want to buy a Chevy or a Ford. Maybe you go in and talk to somebody that knows about cars, and they tell you, go with the Chevy because of this and this and this. That's, that can be helpful, and just things like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's an answer.
Does he ever audibly talk?
I'm not going to say no, because maybe he does.
I don't know about today's day and age, but I know he did it in the Bible.
Yeah.
But I'm very skeptical of it now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Audibly, you mean everyone can hear it, or audibly like one person can hear it?
It just depends. Like in Paul's road to Damascus, there was a voice. Some heard, some didn't. There is the talking donkey where Balaam heard it.
Yeah.
So, but you wouldn't dismiss someone who says, God is talking to me and he said.
I would listen to the content of his words first before I check that off as valid. I mean,
true story. I know a girl, and she was married to her husband, and he was a little bit wacko. Mm-hmm. And they're going down the freeway on a motorcycle, and God told him, jump off. You're going to be killed by this oncoming car. And it said it again, jump off. And it said it again, jump off. And my question to her, as she had bandages and things, was, why didn't he just tell him to pull over? I mean, if you have all that time... Right. Does he talk to us audibly? I don't think as much as we would like to believe.
I agree with that.
What about through this may be the same thing, but through dreams and visions?
It's a great question. How do you tell the difference?
So I told you all about this a couple weeks ago. This youth pastor, who I won't name because I still talk to him a lot, and he's aware of you and your ministry, by the way. He was talking about eschatology to the youth group, and he said that he had a dream, and you guys know where this is going, where this fiery horse was on a beach, and God even told him the date of when it's going to happen, and then he calls one of his Texas pastors. Of course, it's a pastor from Texas because they're only the ones that hear these things. And he says, "Oh, I know that exact beach you're talking about. God revealed it to me too."
Oh.
And so in that case, when I disagree with the premise of eschatology, so I don't believe it's anything significant because our brain makes things up, especially when you're thinking about them.
Yeah.
So I don't. In terms of dreams and stuff, I don't know if that happens. Although, my mom was telling me over in Iraq and all that, a lot of Muslims are converting to Christianity because they claim to see visions of Jesus. So maybe Jesus does come in and have visions of people. I don't know. It's something to think about.
Yeah, I think the answer to a lot of this is of how does he talk to us is I can't say yes or no to these certain methods because maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, you know. Yeah. But how do you tell the difference is kind of important. I don't know that you always can straight away. It's not like there's well, yes, when the low voice comes into my head, that means it's God. But when the high voice comes in, that's Satan. You know, sometimes it'll all probably look and sound the same to you in your own perceptions. But I think you just have to trust the Spirit, you know, to give you the answer on those because it's tricky.
I would agree with that. And, you know, we do the research and
see the signs.
Perhaps some signs. I have had some signs that I think were legitimate. So I think he can work in all those ways, but not just quickly say this was a dream. It's God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And with the signs thing, I don't think that's that crazy because there's, you know, if you're looking for the answer for something, you'll tend to start seeing these things more.
Which makes me worry because we discover what we want to find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we're going to do that anyways. So, I mean.
Not always. Again, going back to my life and everything, just looking back on the short life I've lived, and I'm like, God, why are you letting this happen or this? And just seeing how that changed my trajectory, and I'm like, man, God, thank you for letting that happen. That changed me for the better. I wouldn't have been here, I wouldn't have done this or that if it wasn't for you letting that happen in my life. So I think God works through everything.
The problem with it, that's not really a problem, is that it's a subjective thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say yes or no. It's hard to make rules. Okay, signs are always bad, or it's just your own mind thinking of that. Maybe it is.
Maybe not.
But maybe not.
So the final question before we wrap this one up is, what do you do, or how do you take it if someone comes to you and says, I've had a dream, you need to listen. I've had a dream and you were in it. This is important to you.
I'll say, tell me what it is. I'll think about it.
Okay.
But probably not believe it.
One of my best friends, in terms of being a friend and a Christian, she's one of the most, faithful Christians I know. She told me that God revealed to her that she's going to go to jail someday for her faith and all that. And I listened, but I don't know how to approach that. Because one, it could be God telling you that, but she's going to go on a mission to India in a few years. Already has a scholarship for it. Her and her friend, which I both know personally, are going to India to serve a mission, so I don't know. But you always have to take these things with a grain of salt because it could just be their brain doing it too. So in terms of subjective experiences, you have to be very, very careful with them.
So the question though wasn't about her saying I'm going to experience. It was Ethan and I had a dream, and you're going to go to jail. What would you say to that?
Let's see if it happens.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah.
I learned from Chuck
ready.
Smith that he always said, God works, he does not work independently, that he will reveal to me the same thing he's revealing to you. So when he does that, I'll take what you've said authentically. Because you can really be abused in the Christian church if someone says, hey, God has told me you should get in this business venture.
Yeah.
You know, and someone who's gullible will be like, okay, well, let God tell me too.
Yeah.
Two witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah. Or three.
Or
more.
three. Or more.
More the merrier.
I have no more. Let's pull from the jar of doom. We're going to wrap this up.
Pick a good one.
Oh,
you mixed up the Trinity.
The question was, why don't I hear from God?
Oh, yeah.
Let's address that actual question first. Why don't I hear from God? Is it because you don't have enough faith?
No. We've been over this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it because you have sin?
No.
No, because all have sin.
Mm-hmm. Why don't I hear from God? Well, maybe you're not asking the right questions. I don't know.
I know. Or maybe you're not hearing what you want to hear.
That too.
Or maybe he doesn't want to answer you so you'll grow in faith.
Or maybe he's waiting.
All possible answers, and that's why it's subjective. But now we answer the question. Now I can pull.
Very good.
All right.
And for next week, our question will be...
Guns. No, I'm just kidding. The Trinity.
Truly?
Truly.
The Trinity is coming up next week here on Cat Out.